Imagine living with integrity, kindness, and compassion, believing that if you do what's right, life will reward you. You stay honest, avoid manipulation, and treat others with respect. But instead of success, you find yourself ignored, overlooked, or even betrayed. Meanwhile, those who deceive, exploit, and manipulate seem to rise to power. You start asking yourself, is the world really as fair as I believed? Dostoyevsky understood this brutal reality well. His novel, The Idiot, follows Prince Myshkin, a man so pure, so innocent, that society destroys him. His kindness is met with mockery. His honesty makes him a target. His unwillingness to engage in deception leads to his downfall. But this isn't just a story. It's a reflection of how the real world works. Psychologists have long studied why naive goodness is often punished rather than rewarded. Why those who assume the best in others are often the ones who suffer most. Why, despite what we're taught, being too good can be a weakness in a world built on power and strategy. So, if the world doesn't reward blind morality, what does it reward? And is there a way to be good without being weak? That's exactly what we're about to uncover. At some point in life, everyone has felt it. The quiet frustration of realizing that doing the right thing doesn't always lead to the right results. Maybe you've been the friend who always listened, only to be discarded when you needed support. Maybe you've worked hard and followed the rules, only to watch someone less deserving get ahead. It's a painful truth that Dostoyevsky captured perfectly in The Idiot. Prince Myshkin, the novel's protagonist, is the embodiment of pure goodness. He is honest, compassionate, and incapable of deceit. But the world he lives in is not built for such purity. Those around him, whether out of cruelty or simply their own self-interest, use his kindness against him, turning it into a weakness rather than a virtue. Instead of being admired, he is seen as weak, foolish, and idiot. His kindness does not protect him, it destroys him. And this same pattern plays out in the real world over and over again. Why is it that the most moral, honest people often suffer the most? Why do manipulators, liars, and ruthless individuals rise to the top while those who act with integrity struggle to survive? And if the world works this way, what does that mean for those of us who refuse to betray our principles? The answer isn't simple, but psychology, philosophy, and history all reveal a disturbing truth. Goodness alone is not enough, and if you don't understand why, you might find yourself trapped in the same fate as Prince Myshkin, outplayed, discarded, and powerless in a world that doesn't reward blind virtue. The belief that goodness should be rewarded is deeply ingrained in us. From childhood, we are told to be kind, follow the rules, and treat others with respect. And in return, life will reward us. Good people will be happy. Bad people will suffer. That's what we are led to believe. But psychology tells a different story. This is what experts call the just world fallacy. The illusion that life operates on a system of moral balance, where virtue leads to success and wrongdoing leads to punishment. In reality, morality alone guarantees nothing. Studies in social psychology have shown that people who are overly agreeable, those who avoid conflict, seek harmony, and assume the best in others, are often the most exploited in personal and professional relationships. Their trusting nature makes them easier to manipulate. Their avoidance of confrontation allows others to take advantage of them, and their belief in fairness blinds them to deception. In contrast, those who understand power dynamics, recognize manipulation, and set firm boundaries tend to thrive. This is why manipulators, liars, and ruthless individuals often succeed. They are playing a different game, one based on power rather than morality. But does this mean that being good is a weakness? Not necessarily. The real problem isn't morality itself, it's blind morality. When goodness is not paired with wisdom, awareness, and strength, it becomes self-destructive. A person who is endlessly forgiving can become an easy target. Someone who refuses to see deception will always be deceived, and a person who assumes fairness in an unfair world will always be disappointed. Dostoyevsky understood this truth, and through The Idiot, he showed what happens when a person enters a world of power and deception armed with only virtue. But to fully understand why morality alone is not enough, we need to turn to philosophy. Because long before modern psychology, thinkers like Nietzsche, Schopenhauer, and Dostoevsky himself explored the hidden dangers of being too good. Dostoyevsky's The Idiot isn't just a novel, it's a philosophical warning. Prince Myshkin, the protagonist, is too pure for the world he inhabits. He believes in honesty, compassion, and forgiveness, yet instead of being admired for these qualities, he is ridiculed, used, and ultimately destroyed. Dostoyevsky was making a profound statement. Blind goodness is not enough to survive in a world ruled by power and deception. But Dostoyevsky was not the only thinker who understood this. Nietzsche took this idea even further. He argued that traditional morality, especially Christian ethics of meekness, humility, and forgiveness, was often used to weaken people, making them easier to control. In his view, power, strength, and self-assertion were just as essential as morality, if not more. This is where most good people go wrong. They believe that virtue alone is enough, that morality will protect them. But as Nietzsche warned, those who lack strength are often preyed upon by those who have it. Then there's Schopenhauer, who saw life as an endless struggle, one where suffering is unavoidable. He believed that most people act in their own self-interest, no matter how much they pretend otherwise. In his view, expecting fairness in an unfair world is a delusion. So what is the solution? The answer is balance. Dostoevsky, Nietzsche, and Schopenhauer were not telling us to abandon morality, but rather to pair goodness with wisdom, awareness, and strength. To be purely good is to be naive. To be purely ruthless is to be corrupt. But to be good while understanding power, that is true strength. Which raises the real question: how can good people protect themselves without becoming corrupted? That's what we'll uncover next. Understanding why goodness alone is not enough is only the first step. The real question is, how can you be good without being weak? The answer lies in practical wisdom, what Aristotle called phronesis. True wisdom is not just knowing what is right, it is knowing how and when to apply it. Being compassionate does not mean being a doormat. Many people who strive to be good struggle to say no, fearing conflict or rejection. But true kindness must be paired with firm boundaries, a refusal to let others exploit your goodwill. Without this balance, goodness becomes a liability. A common mistake that good people make is ignoring red flags. They assume the best in others, even when all evidence suggests otherwise. But blind trust is not virtue, it is self-sabotage. Not everyone has good intentions, and assuming otherwise doesn't make you moral, it makes you vulnerable. This is why understanding power and manipulation is essential. You don't need to be ruthless, but you must understand how the ruthless think. Power and deception exist whether you like it or not, and those who refuse to acknowledge this reality become easy prey for those who do. But perhaps the most dangerous illusion is the belief that the world is automatically fair. People assume that if they work hard, do the right thing, and treat others well, life will reward them. But reality is more complex. The world does not operate on pure morality. It operates on power, strategy, and adaptability. Dostoyevsky's The Idiot was a warning, not a prescription. Prince Myshkin's downfall wasn't that he was good. It was that he was blind to how the world really worked. The real lesson isn't to abandon kindness. It's to combine goodness with strength, awareness, and strategic thinking, because only then can you survive and thrive in an imperfect world. The greatest mistake good people make is believing that morality alone is enough, that kindness will always be met with kindness, that fairness will prevail, that the world rewards those who do the right thing. But as Dostoyevsky showed in The Idiot, blind goodness is not a shield. It is a weakness that can be exploited, ridiculed, and ultimately destroyed. Most people never realize this. They live their lives following an invisible script, believing that if they just stay honest and kind, success and respect will follow. But reality is different. The world does not reward virtue. It rewards wisdom. So the question is, how much longer will you wait for life to be fair? Or will you finally open your eyes? Dostoyevsky's warning was never about abandoning goodness. It was about seeing reality as it is. Kindness without wisdom is helpless. Strength without morality is dangerous. But together, they create something unbreakable. You don't have to choose between being good and being strong. You just have to choose not to be blind.